We welcome Stephen Anthony Jones now to the program. He's a core acting member of ACT, and we've been trying to get him on the program for a while. Welcome.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
We had Carrie on, Carrie Perloff, and you had your 40th anniversary.
Yes.
I was unable to attend, but how did it go?
Well, we opened the season with a playwright that is very popular with our audience and that we love very much, Tom Stoppard. And we started with his play Travesties. And it's a very funny play. We renamed the old Geary Theater, and we renamed it the American Conservatory Theater. So now when people ask where ACT is, we say it's at the American Conservatory.
And so when people ask where the Geary Theater is, they're going to have a problem.
Yes, they are.
Now, you've been with the group for some time. Mm-hmm. You're preparing for some parts in December?
Yes, my first appearance on stage will be in our new version of A Christmas Carol.
And why is it a new version?
Carrie and Paul Walsh rewrote it. You know, the version that we did, I guess, for 32 years, and in which I played Scrooge 4 of those years. Okay. And then when I was much younger, I played 2 or 3 smaller roles. Yeah. So I've been in Christmas Carol now, I guess, about 7 times.
And this coming time, what will you play? Who will you play?
This year, I will play the Ghost of Christmas Past.
I see.
Yes.
Have you started to rehearse?
No, we'll start rehearsals in November. We'll open in the beginning of December.
Then you have, that's more traditional, but then you have another play.
Well, we have After the War.
Is that going to be a premiere? That will be a premiere?
That will be a world premiere. It's written by a very fine local Bay Area playwright, Philip Gotanda, a Japanese-American writer. And it's set in 1950 in kind of the area that is the Fillmore and Japantown. And it deals with what was very much a melting pot in post-World War II San Francisco. And it deals with the lives of the people who were living in a boarding house in that area at that time. And I'll play one of the characters. This is a play that we've been developing for about 2 years. We commissioned it with Philip.
How do you prepare?
Well, I mean, I have been acting now for about 35 years. And so it is much different for me. I mean, my whole life, really, all my professional life, I've spent in the American theater. And the first day of rehearsal is the beginning of preparation for that first performance, what would be about a month later. And we rehearse 6 days a week. When you are doing a play, or at least when I'm doing a play, it kind of consumes you. I think about it, I dream about it, it's always on my mind, and so you immerse yourself in it, and that lasts until it closes. I
was watching Al Pacino on the Actors Studio, and he said what a lot of actors say, and we've talked about it on this program, this immersion, this ability to absorb as much as you can about the character. Now, that can be very intense. I mean, you can get very much into it, spend 6 months with your equivalent. Do you put that much intensity in? Do you find that's helpful, or do you find that detracts from maybe your natural craft?
Well, what I find is that the play absorbs you. You end up, you know, if you give yourself over fully in each performance, it is always with you. You're always thinking about it. You're always going over what you did in the performance before. You're thinking about a particular moment that you didn't feel was right on stage and how you can correct that. You're thinking about something you thought that really went well, so well you were surprised and hoping you can do it again. You're thinking about the world of the play and the character's life, and it absorbs you in a way that other kinds of work I don't think really do, because you can't get away from it. And I mean, I have no desire to get away from it, because you stay with the play, you commit to it, and like I said, when it closes, you put it to bed and walk away.
And then you do another play later.
You go on to the next thing. My wife talks about that.
The next day, the day after the last performance, the character dies.
Yeah, I mean...
All that intensity that's been building up, does it just go, or does it kind of linger a little bit after?
Well, it depends on how much you like to play. There have been shows that I loved, and I was sorry when it closed. And
For example?
Master Harold and the Boys was a play I really loved. Tartuffe was a play I loved doing. It was just a pleasure hearing people laugh every night like that. Master Harold and the Boys, I just loved that character and that story. I enjoyed the show we finished the season with last season, Happy End. It was fun. It was kind of, I call it Brecht light.
Okay.
Because it was very, I thought it was kind of simple and accessible, and there was a good deal of comedy in it. And it was just enjoyable to do, and it was a wonderful group of people. So I was sorry to you know, once a show closes, everyone disperses and goes back to wherever they came from, and I miss some of those people.
How about the more intense parts? What do you think has been the most demanding and intense character that you've portrayed?
Solly Two Kings in Jim of the Ocean was a very demanding character. Othello was very demanding and took a lot out of you. That ending, you know, the great tragedy of, you know, him having murdered Desdemona and realizing what he's done and how he was used. That was very hard.
Now, the person, you're very relaxed here on our program today, but when that character is really tortured and has many emotions going on. That's not who you are, at least, you know, not every minute of the day.
No.
So what happened? I was going back to that previous. There's a perfect example of a character, because I don't know you personally, but I can tell it must be a reach. You're going somewhere else when you do that character.
Well, you ease into, or you gradually move into the character's life, and I have to say that I had an experience with my wife during that time, because I'm not a jealous person. I got jealous. I was living his jealousy, and it kind of...
It was convenient then.
Well, it wasn't so convenient because...
your wife wasn't.
No, yeah, it wasn't. She wasn't particularly thrilled.
You're right.
And she said, you know, you have to stop that. And I realized that it wasn't really me. It was the feeling that I had as Othello.
Yeah.
But I had never been jealous, and I have to say, it's I don't. For people who are, I'm sorry for them, because it's a horrible feeling.
It's one of the 4 or 5 really devastating emotions, and I would imagine when you're playing that, because it's so core to human beings. I mean that kind of emotion, that kind of experience, that you have to be careful that you know where the line is then.
Oh, yeah. And the other thing, though, is that you give yourself over to that every night for almost 3 hours.
Yeah.
And you go through that experience, and it leaves you quite drained and tired, and you need that 12 or 14 hours before the next performance to just recharge the battery and to get fully back to yourself.
Tell me about the theater scene here in San Francisco, because you spent time in New York. And I ask this often of people who come here, who are directors and so on, how we measure up right now. We have many theaters. We have probably more theaters per capita than anywhere else in the country, all over the Bay Area. But in terms of the significance of what we're doing here, how does it measure up as you talk to your colleagues in other cities?
Well, I think San Francisco and the San Francisco Bay Area, the East Bay and San Francisco combined, including, of course, San Jose also.
Yes.
I think there's a wonderful diversity of work being done. I think there's a very, very strong pool of local actors who work at a high level. There are some wonderful directors here. There are writers even here. So everything that one needs, including an enthusiastic and supportive audience, exists in the Bay Area. And the range of work is exciting. It's intellectually stimulating. Some important work is done here every season by a theater in this area. And, you know, New York's, I guess the primary boast that New York can make is that that's where Broadway is. But when you compare what's done on Broadway to the exciting new and different kinds of things that are done here, and there's much greater risk taken here. intellectually and emotionally and so forth. And I think I wouldn't trade a place here for a place in New York. Like I said, it'd be a nice place to visit. You know, this is not to say that I wouldn't enjoy going there doing a play, but as soon as it was over, I'd be ready to come home.
Okay. And what's coming up for you now in, let's say, the next 12 months, besides the 2 plays we talked about? You are doing Moliere's The Imaginary, too?
The Imaginary Invalid, I'm not sure. I'd like to do The Imaginary Invalid, but we haven't made final plans for that yet. That's the last show in the season.
That's right.
And actually, we're in the process now of reading a lot of plays. I'm part of the artistic team. And we are...
For the next season?
We're planning the next season now.
So, and I asked Carrie about that. Is it a collaborative effort, or does in the end, does she make the final decisions? And does she, in other words, pretty much bounce ideas off you, or does she allow you really to suggest ideas that come
we bring things in. There's a group of about certainly a dozen of us. And the group expands and shrinks based on how busy people are and who can make the next artistic team meeting. But we have these meetings, and people bring in plays. People talk about plays they've seen when they've been on a trip to New York or to London. We read. Plays are sent, of course, to the theater. We read those. And there's this long, ongoing discussion about what we should do, and plays get on the list, and if they last until we come up with the final 8, then they're in the season. And
so the next season is not set at all at ACT?
Not yet.
So it's a process going on right now. And what do you think we should be looking forward to, or what are you looking forward to, especially in this season?
Well, of course, I'm really looking forward to Philip Gatanda's play After the War. I've worked with Philip, like I said earlier, for 2 years on the development of that script. It's a wonderful script. He's a brilliant writer, a pleasure to work with, and I'm just very excited to be able to do a new work. You know, this will be a world premiere.
World premiere.
Yeah. Our audiences will be the first people to see this play, and I'm sure it will have a long life after that.
Wish you the best with that.
Well, thank you.
And thank you for being with us.
It's a pleasure.
Stephen Anthony Jones. And thank you for joining us. And we'll see you next time. For program schedules, post-production notes, and free streaming video of select interviews, visit our website at www.sfunscripted.com.